Selfie videos from Alpha Rookie. I don't know what I'm doing. I think up here is better. As you can see, I am very, very busy in the store. I am packing boxes. We are moving locations very soon, the next couple of weeks. But we have a patron video from like a year ago, and we decided that we're just going to release it for everybody now. So this is a little intro just to kind of explain what it is. This is essentially a comic book commentary. It was kind of a funny idea that we had to do sort of like a movie commentary, but I don't know how to look at the camera. I guess right there. Okay. Yeah, and you can follow along if you haven't actually a copy of the book for Aliens Dead Orbit. But it's not totally necessary. I'm in the video using images and panels that I'm talking about in the commentary, so you can just deal with that and do it that way. If you want a better idea of what the video is, it's for all 4 issues. We did release for everybody just the first issue, a commentary for the first issue, and people seem to enjoy it. So if you've read Aliens Dead Orbit and you want to hear my rambling analytical thoughts about what it's doing that's cool, click through and check out the alien commentary video. I suck at this now. It's because I'm out of practice. I haven't done this in a very long time. Let's see. Is there anything else we want to talk to you about? Hopefully Alpha Rookie stuff soon, but we don't know when. We're both just busy, man. If you miss me and you live in SoCal, come visit me at the store, Pulp Fiction Long Beach. We're going to be moving soon, so just keep an eye on that. You can follow us on social media. I still do videos for the store for new comic books and stuff that come out. Recently I did a video for 20XX #1. I tried to do little preview review videos for stuff that hasn't come out yet. So yeah, there's a little bit of me out there, but Alpha's busy with house stuff, and I'm going to be busy with store stuff for the immediate future. But anyway, check out Aliens Dead Orbit commentary. All right, hopefully this is good enough for Kyle. Bye-bye. All right, welcome back, everybody. Welcome, patrons, to some exclusive content. We're going to take a look at Aliens Dead Orbit #2. This is only visible to patrons. This is definitely a learning experience. The first issue, a lot of stumbling with this kind of format we're using here. I'm a little bit more used to it now. I think I'm a little bit better at this. Hopefully this will go more quickly and a little bit more smoothly. Okay, let's get right into it. Issue 2. All right. Look at this beautiful, gorgeous establishing shots first panel. This is our Sphancteria. This is our space station. It's falling apart. What's cool about this is it's sort of creating almost like a ring, like a Saturn kind of situation. That's pretty cool. Also, the further the debris gets away from the space station, the more time we know has passed. It's literally using the debris from the space station to convey a passage of time, which is pretty cool. Okay. So, if you remember from the first issue, Waskowski has dropped his box, and an alien has showed up. He is running for his life. And I think this is kind of a cool contrast, this page, from the one where he's really, really taking his time looking around corners for fear of running into the alien. Now he's just running full barrel, not just turning corners willy-nilly without even thinking about it. This is just a cool page. Just really good perspective. I especially like this showing us his perspective. That door is very ominous. I can imagine just like staring, waiting for something to come through that door to come and get you. I don't know. It's just a cool page. All right. Here's some neat stuff. So here we are using the character's reactions to show what information he already has. So here, from the way he's not really reacting to this body, we can surmise that he already knows about it. This is kind of similar to way back in the first couple pages when he looks out at the derelict ship and doesn't really seem to have a reaction because he already knows about the derelict ship. And reminding us again here of the time. It's sort of playing up the fear of the alien versus the fear of what the countdown means. It's sort of a existential dread, existential fear versus a more animalistic fear. So like, you know conceptually that if you let this timer go out, you're going to die, but also, holy shit, the alien's really scary and I don't want it to eat me. It's a difficult thing to balance. All right. Big color transition again here with this horrific scene. I'm going to stop talking about the color contrast because it's all over the book. You get it. This poor soul is thrashing about. Doc is trying to sedate her. Hey, prize... I don't know, not really a prize. A no prize for who can tell me what they think she is trying to say. Because I caught the part earlier where she was saying, where the person was saying inside. I was pretty sure they were saying inside. Here, I don't know. I'm not quite sure what she's going for. But it's something because it's repeating itself right here again. I can't quite make it out. So something for you guys to think about. If you figure it out, let me know. Okay. I like Doc Harrow. I like the contrast between him and Ash in the first movie. He does genuinely seem to care about the lives of these people, more so than anything else. Ash obviously has a very scientific detachment from everything and doesn't really seem like he cares that much about Kane. So it's just kind of a neat difference between this doctor and the doctor in the movie. And being a doctor is stressful when your patients are have no fucking lips. All right, let's move on here. Okay, so Waskowski. I like this. He just wants to go and get drunk. Reminds me of McCready in The Thing. I just want to go to my bunk and get drunk, or my cabin, whatever it is he says. So just more character stuff here. Waskowski is not somebody who goes looking for responsibility. Think about like Kane and Alien. That all that guy wants to do is, I'll do it. I'll volunteer. I'll go. This guy, not so much. He has more in common with the Parker character from the first movie in terms of just being a practical, logical. He just wants to get paid and then he probably get laid and probably drink a lot in the process. This page, it's a cool page. I own this page. This was given to me as a wedding gift. It was very, very kind. I need to find a frame for it so I can put it up on the wall. This is a very nice establishing shot here. I talked a lot about these kinds of shots in the first video. Gives us an idea of scale. You see these little tiny guys in here. It gives you an idea how big the space station is and kind of orients you a little bit. All right, so here's these guys. They're on the case. They're trying to figure out what the hell's going on with the ship. And right here, I thought this dialogue was pretty interesting. Only frontier colonies still use the WAN? Maybe? I don't know. Shit, they must have been way out in the sticks. That's free space. The company won't even touch it. He says, cholera outbreak out there, I heard. What I kind of got from this is even in this age of space travel, there's still fear of the unknown. The company doesn't go there. I mean, like, the company has just got everybody by the balls. It's like, if you want to stay safe, you have to work for the company because space is a scary place. So, of course, you're going to work for the company, even if they're not the best employers. Lots of talking here, lots of finding out things. Love this very somber reaction shot. You can just tell that there's a chill going down everybody's spine at the prospect of whatever the hell is happening. What happened to the other 5? Payroll, so just 8 crew members. What happened to the other 5? Oof. I don't want to think about that. Good stuff. Good job, Stocco. All right. Really digging this panel here. This is, we're getting voiceover essentially. We're gonna get on the next page where these sound effects, this dialogue is coming from. But it also kind of looks like there are explosions surrounding Sphacteria, like this thing is in trouble. Which is cool. All right, you guys ready for all the color to change again? Here we go. Okay, back into the medical room. It's not good. Get these hic, hic, hic choking sounds. Seems to be the only thing they can say. Here's some other more color contrasting I said I wasn't going to talk about anymore. From blue to red and orange. You got this one resting peacefully, serenely in the blue, while these guys, you got a very obvious dividing line here between action and inaction. Gotta feel bad for these guys. They got no lips. There's nothing that they can do except just roll around and scream in pain. Alrighty, let's talk about this page. All right, so shrink this down a little bit. I wish I could center this, but I can't. All right, if you kind of just look at this guy, this is a very chaotic page. There's lots of things. You got speed lines this way. You got dialogue taking you in different directions. It just looks very, not messy, but very chaotic. There's a lot popping out at you this page. A lot of choking, loud agony sounds and stuff. And then you get this page, following page, boom. And everything is symmetrical. There we go. This is the top half. Yeah, so just compare the composition on this page with the page before. Chaotic, uneven, different kinds of lettering. Burn victim is screaming. The crew is yelling for each other. But this page is almost like it's snapping everything into focus. This kind of feels like Stocco's trying to emulate the beat in Alien, where when Kane... There's kind of a point where when Kane is... it's obvious that something wrong with him. And he's kind of convulsing around on the table. And when the first kind of blood spurt pops out, everybody sort of is so surprised they just kind of stop. There's this stillness. There's this beat where everything just doesn't move. And I thought that was kind of a neat way to accomplish that with just this crazy chaotic panel and then just this boom, stop, still. And then you got your telltale heart kind of heartbeats. They're not heartbeats, though. It's a chest burster beat. Oh, man. Look at that. That's a page. Very manga. Tons of speed lines. I don't know how to convey what this is, but this is kind of a very manga thing, too, from what I've read. I mean, this is kind of an interesting stylistic choice. Okay, so let's say you just took this panel literally. If you hadn't already been taught some of the rules of visual storytelling, you could say, okay, there's this small one right here, and then there's also this really big one that came from over here. But we know that's not what's going on. We also know the other thing that could be happening with this is this bigger one is closer to us, right? And this one's further away. But we also know that that's not true. This is just a stylistic thing. It's just the same beat, same piece of action magnified. And if you were watching like an anime, what this would look like is it would just be like a cut to a zoom, basically. Like the first shot would be this, and then you would zoom into it, and then you would see this over here. Anyway, it's neat. He does some really neat stuff with composition in this book. Yeah, so no like technique or anything here. This is just awful. This is a good way of communicating how much pain this person is, that they are just crying and clenching their teeth so hard they're literally breaking their teeth. It's just pretty awful. Good job coming up with something awful. Yeah. Okay. All right. So we don't need to be as dramatic with these guys. We already know what's going on. We saw it happen to the first person. And there's another cool panel there. That page probably cost a lot of money. The way he draws these and their posture, I think, is cool. We have two aliens this time, but they are checking each other out. It kind of reminds me of the way that the chestburster checks out the crew once it's erupted from Kane's body. It does kind of take a moment to sort of size them up, which I thought he did a good job of evoking here. Before Doc Harrow was acting nothing like Ash, they were very different, but here he actually does the same exact thing that Ash does and tells everybody, well, in the movie he says, no, don't hurt it or don't touch it or something. Here he says, stay back, don't touch them. I guess this is probably... Actually, this is still pretty like different from Ash, because here he's being almost like a shepherd. He is he's protecting his crew rather than protecting the creature. Whereas if you watch the movie, it's more like Ash, like, no, don't touch it, because he doesn't want you to hurt it. Here he doesn't want them to touch it because maybe they will get hurt. Last two panels here, I think he's been just done such a good job of evoking the chestburster scene in the first movie that I just hear the inhuman sound of the chestburster. In the movie, it kind of screams and then scurries off the table, right? And just the posture of these guys, the tails kind of flailing up in the air behind them. You know, that was a puppet, so there's some limitations to what you could do with the puppeteering, but Stokoe doesn't, he leans into that and says, like, yeah, but that was iconic, and draws it as such. It just really, really does a good job of reminding me of that scene from the film. All right, moving right along. This is some nice, just stunned silence here. Again, reminiscent of that scene. Where, I mean, what really is there to say? Except, like, fuck. That's about it. All right. This is another, like I said, we've seen this transitional panel before. The debris from the ship connecting to Wascalusi falling apart, losing his mind, what have you. All right, so now we got him here psyching himself up in the mirror. This is, again, that kind of, existential fear versus animalistic fear. I mean, he knows logically that he's got what he has to go do, but the case, but the fear, man, the fear of that terrifying animal eating you is pretty strong. Got to get psyched up. All right, so he heads back to where the box is. I like this little plume here to kind of remind us what was going on here the last time. It's not ejecting as much steam nearly as much as it was before. So this time he tapes the box to him. It's a very kind of primal, smart thing to do. It's these little things that will possibly make you survive in this kind of a situation. It's not like overly intelligent, but like, God, I'm going to be so scared. I need to make sure I don't drop this thing again. All right, here we go. The next couple pages and panels, I hope I can communicate what's going on. It's complicated, but also pretty impressive. So, here we go. This is the kind of stuff that I feel is a lot easier for a writer-artist, somebody who writes and draws the comic book, as opposed to a creative team. my brain would have trouble conceiving of this scene, let alone trying to explain it to an artist. He changes the perspective multiple times. Yet it still works. So let's take a look. We'll start here on this page. So he's using the speed lines again to guide us, but also this steam, right? That's kind of like the speed lines, all heading to like a central location. In this case, this hallway. And so he's gonna continue using the steam to kind of orient us in the space, let us know where Waskilewski is at, where the danger's coming from, etc. All right, so here we are on his right side, and this is kind of just like a zoom in from this panel, right? And here's that steam again to help us know it's that same hallway. Things are getting sucked down that hallway. His arm is bending around probably very painfully around the corner of it. And now we are taking the camera to a completely different place. Now, this might have been really disorienting if he hadn't used the steam. But since we're already familiar with the steam, we can follow it. Now, on a purely shape level, you might say, oh, but the steam is going this direction like it is from the other panels. But we can see here the edge of the ship. We can put two and two together. The steam, this is where it's vacating, right? That's the end of that hallway. If he falls down that hallway, he's going to be in the void of space. So here we were on his right side. Now we are on his left side, so we are completely switching the crossing the axis of action. Some more speed lines here to show how much pain he's in. Here's the steam lines again to remind us that Orianus let us know that hallway is on his right side, even though we are now switched over to his left side. Okay, back to his right side again. The right arm. And we got these little veins here to show that, well, I don't know. Whatever happens to you in space, he's getting close to it happening. The steam lines again to orient where the hallway is around this corner. And check out this eyeball panel. Oh, yeah. So this is a cool panel. It's doing... So it's showing that he has an interest in something, right? His eyes are, pointing towards something, but also it's basically pointing at what he's trying to look at in the previous panel. So you're subconsciously, you're even though you probably just skipped this in your head, the eye kind of snaps you back to it, and yeah, he wants to use that to close a door. So I don't know. This is the kind of stuff you take for granted. But that's actually a pretty complicated action scene, the way that he draws it. I wouldn't know how to telegraph that to an artist, but Stocco found a way, because he's awesome. All right. He's choking. He can't get enough air. The room is stabilizing, but not fast enough. And this is just kind of more cool lettering. Shrinking these choking panels that we've seen before from the crew from the derelict, but also this kind of familiar falling apart thing that we keep seeing in the transitional panels, seeing this bacteria fall apart, just this kind of fading away into darkness. Kind of also reminds you of those like doot 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 things, heart monitor, not whatever they are. Yeah, it's not good until we're in total full blackness. He is passed out. And just like in the first issue, we're going to end on big stinger page that sets up the stakes for the next issue. And it's not looking good out of the pan and into the fryer. But that's Alien. Like I said, they just get worse and worse. All right, cool. I will see you for issue 3. Okay, Aliens, Dead Orbit, issue 3. Here we go. Entering into the second half, things are going to get worse before they get better, if they ever get better. Okay, in last issue, Waskilewski has been captured by a couple of xenomorphs, and as they do, they've cocooned him up. This kind of waking up and trying to move around and not being able to move kind of reminds me of sleep paralysis. I just finished watching The Haunting of Hill House not that long ago. Fantastic show, by the way. If you haven't seen it, you should watch it. There's a character that has sleep paralysis, and God, that seems terrifying. Just waking up and not being able to move. Okay. This panel's pretty cool. It's a good sound effect. We've seen this before. This is the sound that the alien makes. And we got another leading to eyeball moment. It's kind of a good visual representation of how you hear something bad, usually before you see something bad. And let's just bask in the awesomeness of this page. I bet this page cost a lot of money. It's a nice page. God, look at all the detail. It's insane. So these guys, these xenomorphs, this kind of reminds me of, again, back to that scene where Ripley has on the lifeboat and the alien's kind of just chilling. They're just taking a nap, basically. Yeah, they don't always have to be, chasing after people and eating and whatnot. Okay, so it's time for another flashback. As he looks down at his watch, always mindful of not just being a victim of the aliens, but also the existential threat of just the whole thing falling apart and him dying. All right. All I can say about this panel is Alien 3, bitches. Love that scene in Alien 3 where the guy who's in charge of the prison is in the cafeteria and trying to tell all the other inmates what's really going on, trying to calm them down. And as he's doing that, the alien just pops down and grabs him out of the ceiling. Could just be a coincidence, but I kind of feel like he's homaging the movie a little bit there. Yeah. So this, oh God, look at that, with his fingers in its mouth. Oh, jeez. This is some really cool shots here. This is sort of like a reverse of the Jurassic Park Velociraptor scene where they're trying to escape through the on top of the ceiling, on top of the grates, and the raptors are kind of jumping up to try to get them. Except it's the reverse; they're down here on the ground, and aliens up there in the on top. Okay, back to fancy schmancy stuff. All right. So this panel here is what I like to call a spectrum of courage, because I'm going to be talking a lot about these last three characters and sort of their mindsets and mentality. These last two issues, well, just this issue actually specifically. So what you have here is the most courageous person, the second most courageous person who's not really courageous but not quite as scared, and Torrenson, who's just an absolute baby who's like just absolutely running on the other side of the room. Waskilewski at least stops and to try to get Park moving. And Park is paralyzed by her, not wanting to leave somebody behind. Okay, a lot of dialogue in this. I'm not going to go through all of it, but what you get from it is they talk about Rook, one of the other characters. We don't really know, we have no idea what happened to him. It's left to our imagination. I kind of get the impression that this stuff here might have been the first time they saw one of the creatures up close. I love this line here. Must have broke both of his fucking arms pulling him through that grate. That's just kind of horrifying. It adds a nice little horrific cherry on top of the shit sundae of being pulled up into the ceiling like he did. Okay. All right, so people are starting to lose their cool. Waskilewski here being very cool, lighting a cigarette with the torch. All right, so Park, I think, is the ranking officer, but you get Park and Torrenson arguing with each other, and they're sort of like, I don't know, they're both wrong. She's being foolhardy for whether it's courage or just fake courage, and Torrenson is just a scared little bitch. They're both irrational at the end of the day. I like this image here of Torrenson with the prod. He's the only one we ever see with weapons, really, in the whole series, but he's also, like, the most scared, which is kind of telling. Okay, we haven't heard Waskilewski yell at anybody, and I kind of think a lot like Ripley, it sort of takes a lot to get him to that point. Like Ripley, he's the one that needs to remind everyone that yelling at each other doesn't solve anything. Okay, so he's calmed him down a little bit. I love this panel here with Park checking the ceiling. That's this whole series, is just keeping your eyes on the ceiling. Okay, here we get the last remaining burnt crew member who didn't have a chest burster, or if it does, it hasn't erupted yet. And what I think is cool about this kind of hostage situation is just creating variation in the threats. What I mean by that is it'd be easy just to have the xenomorph be the thing that's causing all the danger. But it's good to have other things. It balances out between the xenomorph and just being in a bad situation in general in space. The surviving burn victim makes us forget about the creature for a moment so it can come back and scare us later. Here's another really cool eyeball panel because Stokoe really likes these. The word balloons are leading our eye to this eye. Basically, it's just, Ridley Scott called Alien Texas Chainsaw Massacre in space. And if you've seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre, there's a whole bunch of really uncomfortable close-ups on eyeballs. And so, therefore, there are a lot of uncomfortable close-ups on eyeballs in Dead Orbit. Okay. So, Torrenson's a foolhardy idiot. Waskilewski is not, again, he's not trying to be a leader. He's not trying to be like Mr. Courage. He just wants to go to his cabin and drink, but he's also not an idiot. All right, so this is the end of Doc Harrow here. And the surviving crew member goes running off. And the first thing that Torrenson says, or actually the first thing that Waskilewski says here is, all right, come on, we got to go find her. And he doesn't want to. I mean, you can see it in his face. He doesn't want to pick this thing up. He doesn't want to go off and do something that he's scared to do. But he knows that he has to go do it. So here's where you show the difference between Waskilewski as a character, how he deals with this fear, and how Torrenson deals with this fear. Torrenson goes straight to, like, why do we want to go after her? Forget about it, because that's a scary proposition, running off in the ship to find her. But Waskilewski knows that even though it's a scary situation, he knows also that what he thinks she's doing, which is a pretty spectacular escape that doesn't quite work out in her favor. So we finally see this is what happened to this bacteria. The surviving crew member has jumped into the shuttle, but has not disconnected the umbilical cord. And so it sort of tears off the thruster and it turns around 180 degrees and goes careening into this bacteria. I like about this is it's kind of a little ambiguous as to whether this is caused by the damage to the ship or if this character was just like on a kamikaze run, essentially. I think it could go either way. Not good. And now we know why this bacteria is falling apart. All right. More eyeballs. And, okay. So, one thing about an alien movie is, surviving this kind of experience, it's thinking clearly, it's making logical decisions, but also, at the end of the day, there's no getting away for sometimes it's just luck. So, a little bit of luck here for Waskilewski because this thing looks like it's about ready to have him as a snack. And Torrensen's fear ultimately ends up saving Waskilewski. So, we'll see what that means here. Somebody is, being loud and laughing. And the xenomorphs leave Waskilewski to go investigate. Lucky for him. All right, so he manages to get out. He still has the box. Good thing he taped it to him. That was smart. So again, luck, but also smarts, also being logical, clear thinking. And we got Captain Hassan here. And it's never made completely clear whether he's dead or alive. I kind of think of this moment as just a moment of deference for like a good captain. But also I like to get more into the psychology of Waskilewski, that this is also sort of like a quick, do I really have the time? I mean, really, he's down to minutes at this point. Does he really have the time to go and investigate whether he's still alive? If he is still alive, can I get him out? If I can get him out, is his arms or legs broken? Would I be able to get him out of here? He makes a decision. Or maybe he just knows he's dead. All right. Torrensen is just completely given into his fear. And that's the difference between him and Waskilewski. Waskilewski is also scared, but Waskilewski is keeping his wits about him as best he can. He is ultimately not letting the animalistic fear take over the existential fear. The existential fear being that if I don't do this, if I don't do X, Y, and Z, I'm definitely going to die. As opposed to, well, I might die if I have to deal with the creature. Yeah. So that's the end of him. He just wants it to be over. Yeah. All right. That's the end of this. Get into some very psychotic territory. Yeah. It's cool to see characters go mad in these sort of movies. That doesn't happen that often in the films. But I think that the just absolute dread of what you're dealing with would certainly draw at least one person to it's almost like suicide by police. You just want it to be done. All right, cool. That's the end of issue 3. I will see you for the thrilling conclusion, issue 4. Okay, here we are, the thrilling conclusion. Things are moving fast. They're about to move a whole lot faster. That includes me. I'm going to burn through this pretty quickly. This is lots of fast stuff. Okay, here we go. First panel, we got this bacteria on fire. You might think that it's flashback since we just saw this bacteria get blown up in the previous issue in flashback, but we got a timer right here. Let us know where we are at in the story. This is just a cool page. We get the countdown timer showing each second passing between Waskilewski and what's happening to Torrensen. Every second counts. It's just a good page. Okay. This shit's cool. I've never really seen anything like this in a comic before. Um, this is like, okay, so this is where comic books are cool. The composition of this color, the fact that a comic book is not taking place in time, but are actually, in fact, just static images, allow you to do things like this that are pretty cool. So you have a dividing line here, both color-wise, and what it's doing is it's also whereas before we were switching back and forth either between pages or between panels to show whether we were in the present or in a flashback, we are eliminating that barrier now altogether. Everything is completely bleeding into it. Now, you can take it as a literal present Waskilewski remembering this stuff, but you don't need to. It's still just a cool narrative device. It's jam-packing a lot of information together. It's very economical storytelling, and I'm going to show you why. One of the big reasons I think this works is there's a lot of words here. What they're talking about is essentially what they're gonna do. Now, that's always it. There's always like a plan, right? Like a plan for escape. And if you had them all talking about the plan, the story was being told in a linear way, that would mean that this conversation about what they're gonna do to escape their situation would have happened a while ago. And there's so much other stuff that happened between then and now that you'd probably would have forgotten what the plan would even have been. So in this way, Waskilewski is remembering the plan, but we're also being introduced to the plan for the first time so we can keep it in our head in these final pages. Yeah, you with me? Anyway, pretty neat. So here we are enacting the plan, still switching back and forth. All right. We know that the cold blue, cool colors are the present. The warmer red color is the past because those characters are still alive. And here we go with those cigarettes again. He just cannot help himself. You know, those things will kill you. Huh? Yeah. All right. So, check out this bitchin' page. It's so cool. Oh, man, I wish I could. Unfortunately, it's a horizontal page, so I can't blow it up all the way. This is just really cool. Again, so he's taking what is a horizontal flashback and flipping it vertical to mirror a past action with current action. It's just really neat. And like I was saying before about how you just need a little bit of luck, Torrenson still has a little bit of it left. And the bag catches on the locker, crashes down on the alien, buys him some time. Little bit of luck. Also, if he hadn't gone for the cigarettes, maybe that alien just would have climbed down and killed him from behind, and he wouldn't have even had a chance. So you could argue that by taking a moment to grab a couple more smokes, he has bought himself the time he needed to get away. All right, more Waskilewski, either in memory or, again, just for style. Just having the composition of the flashback with the present. And what we're getting here is kind of a bummer. Park, who's the last one left besides Waskilewski, is just a little bit behind. This is, again, this red stuff here. This is all flashback. And she doesn't quite make it. It sucks. You can tell that he's fucked up about it. Probably everybody else's death didn't mean as much as hers. And here you get again, everything that you've seen up until this point, but this is all really just leading up to this moment where you see the ultimate fate of Park, which not only is terrible, but is also reminding us that there's 2 xenomorphs, because that's going to be important for the action in the next couple of pages. But right after the tragic death of Park, you also get his ultimate... he gets to avenge her with the explosion here. So, again, flashback here with the close-up eyeballs and the I'm sorry. Regret for not being able to save a friend, but also being able to avenge that friend. All my words are almost gone. I'm tired. All right, but we're almost done. Okay. He gets sucked out into the void, which he knew was going to happen. He's wearing his suit. He's got his fancy gravity boots, the ka-thunk, ka-thunk. There's no sound in space, but who cares? It's a cool sound. All right. But remember, back here, we were reminded there are 2 of these guys. So even though we killed one, maybe we just forgot about the other one. All right. So xenomorphs don't care about vacuum of space. They don't care. They'll come get you out in the vacuum. I love the frozen spittle. Very cool. This is one thing we haven't seen this yet. You know, this is all new imagery for me. This is neat. Okay, so Waskaliski here. Last time he was confronted by the xenomorph, he ran away. This time he stands his ground. And because he stands his ground, he's able to best the alien. Looks like he blew it up, but it's not quite dead yet. Here's that silhouette again that we saw in the first issue. Still alive. This is cool. One arm, little acid blood frozen globules floating out into space. This is very neat. I've never seen that before. It's a very cool image. And this is also the first time that Waskaliski has seen one of these things bleed. So, again, we take it for granted that the alien has the acid blood, but he didn't know that. But he sees the way that it reacts here. Some quick thinking about what might happen if he opens this air canister, lets the xenomorph bleed on it, thus, some cool globules here, thus launching him out into space. It's not quite blowing an alien out of an airlock, but it's very similar. It just goes flying off into space. Uh-oh, it's got its arm back again. Okay, we're going to talk about mistakes for a sec. I have a feeling this last issue was a little bit rushed. I feel bad about doing this, but I guess like good or, bad with the good kind of thing. And, it's still interesting to kind of see this stuff. And it gives you an idea of how I look at comic books closely. For how awesome a lot of the action has been. And this action is awesome because it's just happening so fast that you're not really thinking about it. The comic books are hard. And there's some logical problems in this sequence. So let's talk about that for a sec. All right, so he's got the what the hell do you call it? God, I'm so tired. It's a clicker for a bomb. I don't know. I forget what you call it. I don't know. Whatever. His widget. He's got the widget. I'm going to call it the widget. So he's got the widget in his left hand. Okay. It's still in his left hand. Uh-oh. So you could argue the wiggle room here is that between panels, you could say, oh, well, he switched hands so he could grab the thing with his left hand. But probably it's just a mistake. Because, okay, it's in his right hand, but now it's in his left hand. Oh, no. Comics are hard. Yeah, comic books are hard. All right, what are you going to do? He's going to press it. Okay, here we go. Like I said, hey, if you see if this is all like if you read this and you're like, actually it all makes sense and you can explain it to me, please do, because I looked at this for a while and showed it to some friends as well. So, all right, let's actually see what's going on here. So he's blowing up something, right? He's got it. He sets the bomb off. The explosion happens very clearly behind him. Xenomorph in front of him. Explosion behind him. Okay. That's the explosion, I would assume. And we have two little guys here, I would assume. That's Waskilewski and the Xenomorph. Now, if I know that the explosion happened behind Waskilewski, then I have no choice but to assume that that's Waskilewski and that is the Xeno. Okay? Okay. All right, so he manages to hold on and get his little tether thing attached. And he's looking over here in this direction, which kind of looks like that's the smoke coming from the explosion. And the alien comes out of it, and the alien indeed was damaged by the explosion. But how is that possible if the Xeno is over here and the explosion happens behind Waskilewski? I don't get it. Ultimately, this stuff doesn't matter. He's doing so many other things so well that, and if you don't agree with me, I would say go watch Jurassic Park, which I mentioned earlier. Watch the T-Rex scene where it stumbles across the kids and the whole thing where he's nudging the car around and everything. Go watch that scene again. It's an amazing scene. It is also logically impossible. Where the T-Rex comes out is a jungle where he walks out of. It's also just conveniently turns into a cliff ravine that the car falls down at the end of the sequence. You don't notice it because everything in between is so well done. Who cares? And you just don't even think about it. But if you really start paying attention to the logic of the action, doesn't make sense. Okay, I'm done beating up on this because I really like this book and everything else it did was really well done, beautifully drawn. Also, the Xenomorph is missing its right arm, and now it's back. I just noticed that this time. All right, now I'm for real done picking on it. Don't hate this book. Don't. Come on. Everything else it's doing is amazing. Nothing's perfect. Okay, let's talk about the end. We're almost done. I really love the ending. So he's decided that, like the other movies, he'll take his chances. He's not even really taking his chances. You'll see what I mean in a minute. He's taking his chances out in the void of space rather than, dealing with the xenomorphs. He's killed them. He's victorious. So he's sitting alone, decides to have a smoke, and we get this warning. And unfortunately, his stunt to send the alien flying, careening off into space is also depleted his oxygen, and he has got 4 hours left. Just kind of the slow countdown that we have seen. We thought maybe the countdown was over, but it's not. The countdown continues. So here's my thoughts on this. I really love the ending. It's a culmination of themes from Alien as well as what I've gotten from Waskilewski's character. The whole story, Waskilewski has been trying to objectively look at his options, make the best choice available to him. In the finale's case, Waskilewski could die or he could sacrifice his oxygen. So he made the instinctual choice because if he had worried about the oxygen, that would have been the end of him, right? Because if he had said, well, logically, if I deplete the oxygen, then I'll eventually die because I won't have enough oxygen. But also, what else could he have possibly done? That's the only choice he had left, in that situation. On an alien movie level, the creature aggressively tried to take everything, and it took Waskilewski's best effort plus luck to keep his life, even if there's just 4 hours left of it. Which I think is cool. Alien, to me, like the first movie, second movie is about building family and stuff. The first movie, for me, is always about this nihilistic, man, you can't cheat death. It's eventually going to catch up with you. This thing took everything. It took his friends, and it took all but 4 hours of his life. That's what he left him with. Some dark shit. Maybe he'll figure something out, Maybe he'll but probably also maybe he'll just enjoy his last cigarette and just die in peace. Either way, he at least gets to meet his last moments on his own terms. On a purely cynical level, we could ask, why not just give up like Torrenson did, and just kind of embrace the death from the xenomorph? What's the point if it's just for a few more hours and some cigarettes? But I guess that's the philosophical question. You can decide where you fall on something like that. Me, I don't know. It might be nice to just kind of relax, enjoy your smokes, know that this is the end, but at least you get to meet the end on your own terms, and you get to think about how you at least got revenge on those aliens, I guess. All right, that's tired. I'm getting loopy. There it is. That's the actual last page. Timer going down. Just fading away into space. Hell fucking yeah. This is a good book. It's a really, really good book. There's been other really good Alien comics, but I think this is the one that most effectively evokes the first film, both on a thematic level and a style level and a structural level. It's really good stuff. Okay, that's it. I'm done. I'm tired. It's late. This took way longer than I thought it was going to. Let me know what you guys think. Was this stupid? Do you want another thing like this? I think that if I did this again, I would know how to make it better. But if you guys have any feedback for me, please give it to me, because it feels super dumb sitting in a room talking to myself. And so I'm going to go home and I'm going to get drunk and then I'm going to go to bed. All right. Later, Aliens fans. Later, patrons. Thank you again. I think we have an actual outro for you. But I'm all done talking to this stupid tablet. Good night. Good night, folks. Bye-bye. All right, that's it. I did all 4 issues. This is funny because I'm recording this before I've actually done the commentary, so I'm hoping it wasn't 10 billion hours long. I have about 6 or 7 pages worth of notes. You'll notice, I bet you will notice, that when I started, it was like every single panel, and I was trying to think of something to say about every single panel until I realized, oh, I will never finish this if I do that. So I kind of opened it up a little bit and only started like focusing on things that I thought were a little bit more important. I hope you enjoyed this. This was fun to do, and it was very like freewheeling. It was nice to not be able to have to come up with like, oh, well, I can't really talk about this thing in the comic book because it doesn't fit within the topic that I'm addressing. I can just I can free associate and what do they call it when you're stream of consciousness kind of idea. The things are coming to me as I'm reading it. And I mentioned it at the beginning of the video. I mentioned it again. So let us know if you think this is cool. I think it's pretty cool, but maybe it's a disaster. You let us know. Kyle's right here. Hi, Kyle.
And money, because I had to buy 40 terabytes of hard drives to store all these stupid videos that Ryan makes, like Hellboy videos that go for 47 minutes, and they're huge. So hard drives are like $1,300. So every dollar helps me.
Yeah, and I buy too many Blu-rays, but I'm gonna use them for content for you. Okay. Is there anything else I'm missing?
Goodbye.
All right, that's it. See you guys later.